Well, and today we learn the data-driven framework, data-driven testing using @data provider annotation. This is the last program we have created. In this program, we have observed, let me run it again. We are accessing the data present in some Excel file and executing bank employee login test case. Everything fine, but results it is not showing properly. Let me do it again. How many times test case executed? Each time what is the data utilized? It is not showing anywhere. How many times test case executed? Each time what is the data utilized for validation? For what kind of data functionality working, for what kind of data functionality not working. If it is getting displayed, it would be better. But the last program what we have created is not showing the results in that way. So in order to get the detailed test report, means how many times test case executed, what are the various inputs applied. If you want to get the detailed test report, we have to use @data provider annotation. Today we learn how to enhance the previous program by using @data provider. It is the first iteration. It's running the second iteration. And the last iteration. Just a minute. Actually, 2 times I have executed it. Okay. I run this again. The first iteration, the second iteration, and the last iteration finish. If you see the test output generated by the test engine, here it is showing only one time test case executed path. What is the data utilized also not getting displayed here? For this, we can use @data provider annotation. So today we learn how to implement data-driven framework or data-driven test cases using @data provider annotation. Okay. Data-driven tests, implementing data-driven tests using @data provider annotation. Implementing data-driven test cases using @data provider annotation. And everybody do remember, and this is really one of the very important topic for interview. Most of the interviews will focus on they ask like, what is @data provider annotation? What is the use of @data provider annotation for implementing test cases? Right. Now, let me provide some little notes about this. TestNG offered @data provider annotation. TestNG provided @data provider annotation to implement data-driven tests. There are three major steps involved, or we have to follow to do this. To implement data-driven test cases using @data provider annotation, we have to follow major three steps. What is the first step? Step one. Create a test method to validate the functionality. At first, we have to create a test method to verify the functionality in your system. Then, the second step, create another method, one more method in the same test case class. In the same test case class, we have to create another method which provides input data to the test method. I'll explain technicals. We have to create another method in the same test case class which provides input data to the test method. And you have to remember another 2 points here. This method, return type should be a two-dimensional array of type, of data type object. Why two-dimensional array? I'll explain. And this method should be configured with @data provider annotation. The first step, we have to create a method to validate the functionality. That method should be configured with @data provider annotation. You know, such methods are called test methods. We have to create another method in the same test case class. We have to create another method which provides input data to the test method. This method return type should be a two-dimensional array of type object. And this method should be configured with @data provider annotation because this is the data provider method. Why this method return type should be a two-dimensional array object, we'll discuss. This point we'll discuss. And step by step, we'll discuss technicals. The last step, specify data provider name for the test method. We have to specify the data provider name for the test method. You have to give the data provider name for the test method. These are the three steps. So let us try to implement these three steps one by one. Well, see here, to explain this, first I'll do one thing. I'll explain with a a simple program to understand the 3 steps, the concept. Later, I'll implement the same on the bank employee login data-driven test for today. First program, I explain a simple program to understand the concept. Then I will jump into implementing bank employee login data-driven test using @data provider annotation. Well, here I'm creating a class, say for example, login DDT, login data-driven test. In this program, I'm going to teach you the concept first. The first step, create a test method to validate the functionality. I'm creating a method to check some login functionality. You know, generally login needs the username and password, some details. This I configure with @test annotation. You know, if any method is configured with @test annotation, such methods are referred as test methods. Just a moment. Right. Okay. I configured this method using @test annotation. Done. Now here I'm not writing any actual code at this moment. Just I'm printing the test data, user ID value and that password value. So assume that you created a method to validate login functionality. This method is configured with @test annotation. This is the first step. This step. Right. Second step, create another method which provides input data to the test method. In the same test case class, you create another method which provides input data to the test method. Here, I'm creating another method. Initially, I go with void. Maybe my method name login data, login test data, whatever it may be. So here, this method should provide the input data to the test method. Okay, now, actually here, we have to write the script to get data from Excel. But I do not want to make more complex in the first program. What I will do, I'll hard code the data. Look at here. Supposing, okay, leave the branch name. First, in the first program, I'm just teaching you the concept. It needs only 2 arguments, username and password. This data I want to utilize. This data I want to utilize. I have some multiple combinations of data. Okay. If I want to keep this data, temporarily what I will do, I'll hide this column. Let's assume this is your test data. I want to use this data. How many rows and how many columns we have here? How many rows we have here? Answer me. We have, no, data I'm talking about. 3 rows of data. We have 3 rows of data here. Okay. And we have Data columns, I'm talking about 2 columns. We have 2 columns here. 3 rows and 2 columns. Only test data I'm considering. Well, if you want to keep this entire data, listen everybody, if I want to keep this entire data in Java memory, how to store that in Java memory? I want to keep this entire data in Java program memory. How to do that? Yes. We have to go for arrays. Okay, correct. We have to go with arrays. You know, arrays are used to store multiple values. If I have only this, I can go for a one-dimensional array, single dimensional array. If I have more rows and more columns, definitely we have to go for two-dimensional array, correct? If you have more rows and more columns, definitely we have to go for two-dimensional array. So what I will do in my script, I create a two-dimensional array of type, see here. In this scenario, I have only strings, usernames and password. Let us consider, I want to store this data into Java memory. We have to go with two-dimensional array of type object, because you know, of type object, because object only can store any kind of data. If I go with a two-dimensional array of type string, I cannot store the salary values. You remember, I hope, the object concept. Object can store any kind of data. So I'll go with a two-dimensional array of type object so that any kind of tested data I can keep in the Java memory. So here, I'm declaring a two-dimensional array of type object. My array name, say data equal to new object. You have to mention the size. In this scenario, you tell me what is the size you want to mention, how many rows and how many columns. I want to keep this data into the two-dimensional array. How many rows and how many columns? We have to mention the size while declaring 3 rows and 2 columns. Right. So now here, 3 rows and 2 columns. Done. Now, let me store the data. The first row. Data is my array name. You know, generally memory starts from 0, 0th row, 0th column. See, for us, it is first row, but for the Java memory, it is 0th row, correct? 0th row, 0th column. In the Java memory, I'm talking about. Right. 0th row, 0th column. So for example, user ID 1, first user ID. Data of 0th row, first column. 0th row, next column, first column, equal to, say for example, you can store even integer also. Because you know, it allows any kind of data. As it allows any kind of data. But here, my test data is username and password. I'm storing this value. This is the first row. So actually, for your understanding, in the first program, I'm hard coding the data. Next program, I'm going to get the data from the Excel. I'm just in this first program, you understand the concept. The second row, data of first row, 0th column, user ID 2, First row, first column, password 2. It is second row. The third row, data of second row, 0th column, user ID 3, second row, first column, password 3. Now, this Java memory reference data has multiple rows and multiple columns, which is your test data. Finally, this data I want to return. This data I want to return. Whatever the data present in the Java memory, that data I want to return. So what is the return type? What is the return type? A two-dimensional array of type object, because data is a two-dimensional array of type object. So I modify the return type from void to two-dimensional array of type object. So this is the point I highlighted here. We have to create another method to provide the test data. This method return type should be two-dimensional array of type object, and this method should be configured with @data provider annotation. This point left in. This method should be configured with @data provider annotation. So here I'm using @data provider annotation. Okay. Right. So because this method is a data provider, well, and what is the last step? Specify data provider name for your test method. What is this concept? What is this? Why to provide data provider name for the test method? Listen. So what I'm doing here, clearly observe what I'm doing. I'm copying the whole data provider method. Again, I'm putting here. This data provider name login data. This data provider name, say for example, some data. How many data providers are available in this class, in this test case? 2 data providers available. Well, now, if I run this test case, you know, first test method will be executed. What is the question to the test method now? What is the question to the test method? There are 2 data providers. There are 2 data providers. If I simply execute it, what is the question to the test method? Whether to get the data from the first data provider login data, or whether to take the data from the some data. Correct? So one test case may have multiple data providers, no worries. But here, the last step, step 3, specify data provider name for the test method. Here, we have to specify the data provider name like this. We have a keyword data provider equal to, you have to give the name of the data provider. Supposing here I'm giving login data. So what I will do for your understanding, this some data I'm changing with U1, P1, U2, P2, or let's assume it has only two rows and 2 columns. I slightly changed it. I'll explain why I modified like this. Now here, login data provider has 3 rows, 2 columns, user ID 1, password 1, user ID 2, password 2, user ID 3, password 3. Now I'm configuring execute the test using login data provider. Now I save this. Let me run this code. See the output. This is a sample code, right? We have not accessing any application. See the console output. test executed for 3 times, no fail and no skip. Each time, 3 times login tested using this data, UID1 and PWD1. Okay, leave the console output. Verify the TestNG generated output. See the TestNG generated output. This is your TestNG generated output. You please observe pass fail status is showing 3, meaning login test case executed for 3 times, 3 times pass, no failed and no skip. We are getting 3 here. And you please observe here, login tested first with UID1 PWD1, next time UID2 PWD2, next time UID3 PWD3. How many times test case executed, how many times it is worked pass, fail, each time what is the data utilized also getting displayed in the results automatically. You tell me, in the last session we have implemented one test case and I have shown you back before I start the session today. And today I have shown you these results by implementing data provider. Which format of the test results would be better? And also do observe in my logic, I was not created any for loop and nothing. Did you observe that? In my logic, I was not created any for loop and nothing. If data provider giving 4 inputs, automatically test case getting executed for 4 times. If the data provider giving only 2 inputs, automatically test case will run for 2 times. Right, now let us see what I will do. Next time, for example, I want to execute the same login test case with some other combination of test inputs, For example, some data I want to use this time. There are 2 combinations, U1, P1, U2, and P2. So what I will do, execute the test case using the data provider, some data. You please observe the logic. Nowhere I counted and nowhere I have implemented a for loop. If data provider giving 3 inputs, test case will run for 3 times. If data provider giving 10 inputs, automatically test case will run for 10 times. And in the results also, how many times it was executed, data also will be displayed. Now I change the data provider name to some data. Let us run this code. So this time, definitely this will run for 2 times. See the output here. 2 times executed pass, U1 and P1, U2 and P2. I hope you understand this concept. Please do confirm so that I'll change the bank employee login data driven test by implementing data provider. I'll show you the script again. If you have any questions, post me, I clarify. Then I'll modify the bank employee login data driven test using this @ data provider concept. Yes, good. Right. Now, rather than modifying the code, what I will do, I'll create again instead of modifying the previous program. I want to test bank employee login functionality using the test data. I want to implement data provider annotation in this program. How to do that? Okay. So here, first I extend app utils so that launch application and close application will automatically run. And here, the 3 steps we have to implement. Same 3 steps, same procedure, whatever we learned. At first, create a method to validate the bank employee login functionality. That method should be configured with @test annotation, which is nothing but the test method. So bank employee login needs 3 arguments: the branch name, user ID, and the password. 3 arguments I configure here. Right. Now, this I have to configure with @test annotation. I'm doing it. So first what I'll do, I print the values, later I'll modify the code, okay? Temporarily I print the values, later I'll change the code. One moment. Done. Now, the second step. We have to create another method which provides input data to the test method. Let me do that. I'm creating another method which provides input data to the test method. Otherwise, simply my name is, data. Right. And I've given you some guidelines that this method return type should be a 2-dimensional array of type object. And this method should be configured with @data provider annotation. Now here we write the code. Here we write the code, this time write code to get data from Excel. Previously, for your understanding, just I hard coded the data. Now here we write the code to get the data from Excel. Let's do that. Just a minute. Here I have hidden one column. Leave it. Okay, here. So first what I will do, I'll count the number of rows. Because here I have to fetch the data from the Excel. I'll count the number of rows. Already we created Excel utils class which is available in the current project. There is a method get row count which needs the Excel file and Excel sheet name. So what I will do here, maybe at class level, I'm declaring 2 variables. My variable name data file, Here I'm giving the location of the file. If really the Excel file available inside your current project, that we can give. The other variable, data sheet, I'm giving the name of the sheet, banker login data. Name of the sheet, banker login data. Then here, I'm using the variable that contain the Excel file location. Here I'm using the variable that contain the sheet name. Got it? Right now, we are counting the number of rows storing into the variable. I'll add the exception. Then, because here they mentioned the return type as of now your code not returning any data, hence it is showing some error. Once we implemented the return, this error will go, no worries. Now, we have counted the number of rows and I want to count the number of columns. Here I'm declaring the variable Excel utils dot get column count data file data sheet row number. I'm hard coding. I want to count the number of rows from where the data begins. Generally data begins from the first row, not from the 0th row. Mostly 0th row will have the headings. Okay. We are counting the number of columns here. Okay. Here number of columns is this value. Better. Actually, in this scenario, nothing wrong. You can hard code the number of columns because generally test data increase. Next time you want to change the data meaning, rows will increase, columns will not increase. Anyhow, once it is done, I'm creating a two-dimensional array of type object like the previous one, data equal to new object. Here I'm substituting row count and the column count. So that if really in future, if you add some other test data into the Excel file, dynamically this object will be, the two-dimensional array object will be defined. If I hard code the values, this time 3 and 3, next time if we added test data in the Excel file, every time we have to modify the code. To avoid that, dynamically we are substituting the values, row count and row size and column size. Please do confirm till this point understood. I'll extend this code. Till this point, okay? We are counting the number of rows available in the sheet, number of columns available in the Excel sheet. Dynamically, we are defining an array rather than hard coding number of rows and columns while declaring an array. Done. Then the previous program, for your understanding, I hard coded the data. Now I want to get the data from Excel. There are multiple rows available. So what I do, I create a loop. Int I equal to 1, because my data starting from the first row. I equal to 1. I less than or equal to row count RC, I plus plus. And here, previously what we did, we hard coded like this, 0, 0 equal to UID1, something like this. We hard coded it. Now completely I want to dynamically make it. I want to make it dynamic. In place of 0, I'll use I minus 1. Because memory starts from 0. Data available in the Excel file starting from the first row, but Your two-dimensional array object position start from 0. I minus 1 I'm using 0, 0 equal to, I'll get the data from Excel and store into the two-dimensional array object using get string cell data, data file, data sheet, row number I, column number 0. We are reading this SRNagar through Excel utils methods. We are using this data SRNagar storing into the 0th row and 0th column of the memory. The same way, data of I minus 1, 0th row, next column equal to the column number 1. We are reading the John into next location. The same way, data of 0, second position, this one. Okay. Through the loop, there are 3 rows available or 300 rows available. Through the loop, we are fetching the data from Excel, storing into Java memory, which is a two-dimensional array object. Finally, this data you want to return. In the first program, conceptual program, I hard-coded the data for your understanding. This time, we are fetching the data from Excel, that data we are returning. So return type is a two-dimensional array of type object. This is configured with @data provider. So now I told you, we have to configure the data provider name. That is the last step. Sorry, that is the last step. So data provider equal to name of the data provider. What is the name of the data provider here? Test data. This is the name of the data provider. But here still we have to modify this code. First, let us run till this point. Check whether your code able to access the data from Excel and supplying to the test method or not. I save this Excel file. Let us run this code. Verify your code accessing the data from Excel and supplying to the test method or not. Then we continue the remaining code. So definitely it will invoke the application and close application because before test and after test will be executed. We have used app utils extended to here. Let's see here, this one, or check the test engine generated output. SRNagar, finally, whatever the data present in the Excel, the data we have script is accessing and printing here. It is showing number of times passed equal to 3. SRNagar, Jubilee Hills, and Mayapur. Finally, it is fetching the data from Excel. 3 iterations. Supposing what I will do, I'll add one more. Say Amirpet. Username, for example, Suresh. Say demo. I save the file. I'm not going to do anything in the script. I'm running the script again. Because your code dynamically counting the rows and fetching the data, substituting to the test method. We have to write the code for login. As of now, we have not created any code for login testing. You please do observe here. Your code getting the data which we have added to the Excel sheet. See the test ng output. last one also. So hereafter we can add the data or edit the data dynamically. I deleted it. Got it? You please confirm till this point understood? Here we have to write the bank employee login code. If we confirm till this point, then we go further. Here there is a question from the routes. As per your question routes, your question is like this: can we extend two methods at the same time in a class? Raj, first of all, we are not extending a method. Agree with me? We are not extending a method. We are extending a class. We are extending a class, correct? Right. Java allows single inheritance. Means Java do not allow multiple inheritance. Multiple classes we cannot extend into one class in Java. You have to follow the regression hierarchy, meaning class 1 you are extending into class 2. Class 2 extending into class 3, what happened? First of all, let me confirm the point. In Java, multiple inheritance is not possible. Means that in one class you cannot extend multiple classes. Got it? In C#.NET and in Python it is allowed. It is allowed. In Python and C#.NET, not in Java. Java allows only single class inheritance, not multiple class inheritance. But still, what we can do, if you really encounter the situation, what we can do, let's say class 1, class 2, class 3. Class 2 extends class 1. Class 2 extends class 1. Okay? If class 3 extends class 2, what happened? If class 3 extends class 2, what happened? Automatically class 1 also coming, right? That is a workaround in Java. Right. You understood what I said, Raj? Did you understood what I said? Right. Good question. Well, so here, only for your understanding at the first moment, I have printed this. Now let us implement the actual code. So what is that actual code? Here, in this Primus Bank library, we have Primus Bank homepage where I have bank and login functionality. I want to call this. In order to call this, at first I have created an object for the class. A Primus Bank homepage, same concept. Home equal to new Primus Bank homepage. Once it is done, phome dot, I'm calling banker login, branch name, user ID, and password. So previous I printed, now I'm supplying the data to the method. This is returning a Boolean value. This I'm keeping in a variable res. Then maybe you can implement assertion also. Assert dot assert true, the Boolean condition res. Then we have to call logout. Logout available in banker homepage class here. I'm creating an object for the banker homepage. Bhome then bhome dot, I'm calling banker logout. Right. Now let me run till this point now. Still we have to modify something. First, let me run till this point. If there are any browsers available, no browsers available. Okay, let me run this code. So it is running the first iteration, done. Second iteration, done. Third iteration, Miapur, done. Amirpet. Why the last one, Amirpet, it was executed? Amirpet, I removed, right? Okay, we'll see, we'll see. Maybe, yes, friends, maybe I observed that after removing the row, I didn't save the Excel file. I removed, but I didn't save the Excel file. Let me save it. I saved it. Let me do it again. The first iteration, SR Nagar, second iteration, last iteration, done. Done. So now, see the TestNG output now. Oh, what can I show? The bank employee login test case was executed three times pause. First time, bank employee login tested with SR Nagar John. Next time, Jubilee Hills. Lastly, the Miapur. Okay. TestNG output is okay. How many times it executed, each time, what is the data utilized, everything is okay. But still, I wanted the results in the Excel sheet also. In addition to TestNG output, HTML output, better, if I able to update the results here, pass and fail, it would be better. Agreed? Here also, in Excel output also, so that if my manager or client asking results in Excel format, I'll forward the Excel file. HTML format, I'll forward the previous file. Sometimes both. So in addition to this, still I want to modify my script to update the results in the Excel file, pass and fail. Right. Now, so what we can do now, here, already we have taken the function return value into a variable RES. Based on the RES only, we are updating the TestNG output. Here, I write a condition. Maybe here you can write, or here also you can write. It's your option. Okay. Let me write here, wherever. I write a condition if RES. If RES value is true, I want to write the results. Excel utils dot set cell data, data file, data sheet, row number. Okay, I'll use one more variable here, friends. J. In J equal to 1. Because I should not use this I. If I use this I, what happened? See, you tell me first of all, when the for loop will exit and return the data? When I becomes above 4, correct? When I value reaches 4 something, then only it will return the data. If I'm using I here, it's straight away, I mean, the 4 value would be 4. So I'm using one more variable, J. J equal to initially 1. First row, in which column? 0, 1, 2, 3. Column number 3. Column number 3, the data I want to write, pass. I'll add the exception. After writing pass, I want to show with the green color. The data file, data sheet, row number J, column number 3. Else, otherwise, the same column, I want to write fail. After writing fail, I want to show with the red color. The data file, the data sheet, row number J, the column number 3. Okay, and here, for each iteration, I'll increment the J value, J++. Then only J value will be incremented. Okay, next row. But you know, data provider will drive this method, test method. Data provider will drive the test method based on number of rows it is returning. Okay, right. Here, why I declared J equal to 1? See, maybe sometimes if I declare here, what happened? Initially, J equal to 1. First iteration, we don't get any issue. I'm using J++. J value become 2. It go for second iteration. I mean, one more time data provider will drive. Again, J will become 1. If I declare inside the method, again J becomes 1. Hence, I'm initializing the value at class level. For each iteration, I'm incrementing the J value. Now, let me run this code again. But here, your code performing a write operation, you must close the Excel file. I close the Excel file because you are performing a write operation, your script. You know, previously your code performing only read operation. Though the file is in the open mode, we don't get any issue. If your code performing any write operation, the file must be in the closed state. Let me run this. Previously also it was executed. Only this time we little extended the code to update the results in Excel. That's it. Check. The first iteration done. Second iteration. The last iteration. Finish. Now see the Excel output. Here first let's see otherwise. TestNG output. See the TestNG output here. 3 times test case executed. Executed with SR Nagar, Jubilee Hills, Mayapur something. And now I open the Excel file. Your script should update the results in Excel file too. Yes, results updated in Excel file also. Okay, this is the proper way of implementing data-driven testing, data-driven framework. I hope everybody understood this one. You please confirm you understand today's session. Tomorrow I'll teach you another scenario, valid data, invalid data with another example. In this program, we considered only positive scenario. Tomorrow I'll take one negative scenario also for same data-driven testing, right? For friends, I stop here today and I'll upload this code into the drive and tomorrow we'll continue, okay? Please do practice it. It's a very, very important for your interview cracking, especially for the people who are planning, giving experience, who are planning for experience in Selenium. These data-driven tests are very, very important. Take care. Good night. We continue tomorrow.